It is a minute after 10 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to African Diaries. Shayla Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm with you all the way through to midnight in Central African time. Listen, it's going to be a rather enthralling 2 hours, and I say this because we are about to spread awareness. Now, if you do not know, the SABC is currently running a campaign on GBV, gender-based violence. And this evening's conversation is a tribute to that particular campaign that's currently running. I did share a fact with Tshepiso Makwetla of the Africa World Hour that 1 in 3 women in Africa experience gender-based violence. And last week, we learned that a staggering 38% plus set of, I suppose this is a study that came out of, if you will, a focus group that indicated that boys in school experience GBV and 38% more than females in school. And so that was a bit shocking. Listen, this is a dire situation. It's one that requires our attention. It requires our time. It requires our sympathy. And if anything, it requires solutions. And today we are bringing you a solution. Listen, Lindiwe Kunene is coming to the fort to say, not only have I survived GBV physically, but I have managed to uplift myself mentally. And so we're going to be talking to her about the realities of experiencing PTSD and how to deal with that. Tools, tips, tricks, you name it. She has got the 411, and she's going to be joining us on the line to carry out that conversation. Of course, the update with concern to, or rather concern of some of the conversations that were hosted on Channel Africa from Rise and Shine all the way down through to Africa World Hour with Tshepiso Makwetla, which brings me to that thank you note. Thank you to the Africa World Hour team for keeping us abreast with all things news. I know that Tshepiso isn't feeling well, and so we do hope that tomorrow she is stronger and feeling better. To the team that will be, we must introduce ourselves. On technical, we have Kathy Chuchumaleka. On production, we have Nolo Babetsi, and I am Shayla Ndikumana, keeping you company all the way through to midnight. Now, I want you to firstly understand that this conversation helps you simmer down your day, okay? I want you to relax. I want you to grab maybe a warm beverage if it's cold in your area. If it's hot, maybe something cooling. And just breathe, because that is the intention of this conversation. It's to allow ourselves to simmer down, relax, so that we can be our most heightened self when we take in and process the information that follows. For now, some music.
Africa Speaks on African Diaries with Shayla Ndikumana.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur Sheky Frey, qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste, et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup de genres de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap. D'accord.
À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Sheky?
Bon, je crois pas qu'il y ait une période, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annie Kalonji, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Channel Africa, where every moment is an African celebration. Feel the energy. Feel the connection. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo, chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, kukhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
La famille au Sénégal? Oui, bien sûr.
Sori sama réew ak sama askan taxul ma fàtte man mi may kan damay liggéey doxuma si caaxaan seen soutien damay bégal te ma yokku kàttan damay ñafe di liggéey duma geesu yónne yàkkamti ma duma daagu li ma weesu la réccu fi ma jëm leer na ma man la ni seetu. Khoye te fexe fila stress bi wàcce fila xale yi gën a baaxe sama réew mi la neexe foo bëgg Sénégal bi fii ci doon sénégalaise la famille au Sénégal bi fii ci doon sénégalaise civilisé rafet mën a sañ si te bëgg topp ka
Trips all the way to Senegal. This is Diaries, and Diaries is alongside Dior Mbaye, and this one titled La Famille du Sénégal, oui. Before that, beautiful music representing South Africa on the playlist, DJ Kent and Mo T, and they are alongside Brendan Praise, Tugzine, and this one titled Horns in the Sun, the remix. And that's what brings us to 15 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African time. I was about to say 5. Where I got that number, I have no idea. Listen, if you've just joined us, hopefully you are not as foggy as I am on the time. I do hope in actual fact that you've had a splendid and beautiful Tuesday. This is the evening thereof, this here 19th of August 2025. It's time for us to wrap up the stories that have been on the platform that is Channel Africa, where we bring you that African perspective. We kickstart off with the Rise and Shine team, where Peter Ndoro grilled Reverend Frank Chikange on South Africa's National Convention, a bold new chapter in the country's politics.
There was a call for a national dialogue. Not because, as you did in your introduction, it's not because the ANC lost a majority. The person who called for this for the first time was President Mbeki. I know it's his idea, and he believed the country has reached a stage where it needs to talk. And the president of the country then accepted that because Mbeki had to talk to him about it. And once it's accepted, the structures were set up to do this. And so nobody has done this before. I'm actually looking for a country that has had a national dialogue in the manner in which we are.
Keeping things on the move, Benjamin Mshatama linked up with Maria Mabuza, fresh from medical school in China, to unpack the grit and grind of studying abroad.
When you're choosing to study outside of the country, it's a big risk, right? What made you to say, you know what, I want to study outside of the country, and out of all countries, I'm going to China?
I think, I'm not sure if people saw a video that Guijo Avenue posted, but then how my journey began is that I've always wanted to study medicine, but I think I lacked self-belief because I did not get I applied to a few South African universities and I didn't get accepted. And then I was doing then I did BSc and SMU. And then during that time, my mom, who is a nurse, had a patient who was studying from SA, who was studying medicine in Cuba. And then that's where everything like that interaction sparked the idea of I can apply internationally.
Okay, and I'm sure selecting a school in itself is not easy, right? Did you get recommendations? Was it researching on the internet? How did you go about that element? Because also you don't know whether, this website is a bogus website or what are we going to do? Is this credible? How did you go through that process of finding the right school?
Initially, based on the interaction with the Cuban student, we thought of Cuba, but then we realized that we can't go as an individual student. It's based on the government taking the students. So then with researching and seeing Instagram, I followed a lot of medical students on Instagram. Okay. And then some medical students offered services to help students apply at their universities. So there were countries that were very expensive. Finance is a big issue. And then with how I ended up selecting China is that I knew someone that studied in China, but not even medicine. But the fact that knowing someone personally that studied there, I'm like, let me look into China. Yeah. But then when I started looking into China, I was scared because China is such a big country. It has so many, over 1,000 universities, and not all of them are accredited. So I think that's why I chose the route of using an agency.
Oh, fantastic.
So I didn't apply by myself. I used an agency hoping that they know which university in their country is credited.
And on Africa Update, Kenya under pressure, freedoms shrinking, humanitarian crisis deepening. Lulu Gabu got the inside story from MP Maxwell Kariuki.
Awful killings, disappearances, torture or cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment, arbitrary arrests or detention, serious restrictions on freedom of expression and media freedom, and the significant presence of the worst forms of child labour. The report also revealed that while the government took steps to identify and punish officials who committed these abuses, an issue of impunity was a problem at all levels of government.
Corresponds with the previous reports that we've been looking at. One of those is the reports from the Human Rights Watch. And the other one is the report by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, based in Geneva, Amnesty International, and many other rights group. And it corresponds with the same points raised by the senator who submitted a motion in the U.S. Congress to have Kenya's status of MNNA reviewed. It points out to abductions, unlawful killings, state-sponsored violence by the government. And the travesty of this whole thing, for example, Lulu, when it comes to unlawful killings, a while ago, not so long ago, here in June, a young man by the name of Albert Ojwang, a teacher, tweeted something against one of the top officials in Ruto's government. The next thing, he's being arrested. Police went to fetch him 300 kilometers away from the capital, brought him to the city, and then he's booked into police station and around 6. And by 2 a.m., Albert Ojwang is found dead. Now, there is a guy called Boniface Mwangi. He was a street vendor. This guy, when people went to demonstrate against Albert Ojwang's murder, this guy was not even demonstrating. He was selling masks, you know, and a group of police officers pass by and start chasing him down the street. And one of the police officers picks a gun, aims at his head and blows his brains out.
And lastly, Mateko Mosito and Tebogole Kuleni on the upside with Dr. Polile Mpofu. Decode what your skin says about your diet and your health.
And the skin is the largest organ on the body, okay? AKA, you've got to take care of it since it is protecting all your organs. So we're talking to Dr. Polile Mpofu about what the skin actually reveals about our state of wellness. Doc, welcome back. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, let's take a deep dive into what the skin is actually revealing to us about our stress levels, about our hormonal imbalances or balances, and just our state of fulfillment.
Yeah, the skin is really a big window to the inside of the body. Because when you look at a person, you can judge their hydration by just seeing the skin. Their nutritional level, when there are any deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies. You can see when there's iron deficiency, where there are systemic conditions like diabetes, infections. There are lots of things, even some cancers can be detected through the skin. But stress is a very big trigger of many conditions of the skin. We know that because of stress, our acne is not controllable, rosacea is triggered, psoriasis is triggered, many conditions, allergies, most infections, the person's immunity goes down and then they become vulnerable to even infections. So stress is a very important aspect of our health, including skin. Hormonally, when there's a hormonal imbalance, we know that there might be pigmentation problems, there might be acne, there might be stretch marks. There are lots of changes. So many aspects of our health are indicated by the skin.
For more stories, visit www.channelafrica.co.za. Watch us live on Channel Africa on YouTube and on Facebook. And then follow live for updates as we go. That is on Channel Africa 1 on X, Instagram, and TikTok.
From Cape to Cairo, every beat tells a story. It's African Diaries on Channel Africa.
It's time for us to scribe in our journals, and we start off by saying, Dear African Diary.
People be like, if you can't tolerate abuse, then why are you here? Because your ability to take abuse means that you're wife material. Have you ever wondered why so many women are being abused and they never speak about their abuse? Have you ever wondered why so many cases of gender-based violence in this capital of abuse, which is South Africa, our country, cases are reported of abuse, but they never make trial? Because as a victim of abuse, you get victimized even more. You get judged. They ask you, what were you wearing? Why are you like this? Why didn't you speak earlier? Why you beat her? Why didn't you keep quiet? Simply because you chose yourself. Have you ever wondered why the rate of abuse in South Africa is higher than any other place? Because the victims are being victimized even more. Because you will be called names for saying that I will not be taking abuse in my marriage anymore. And that has to stop.
It is 26 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African Time. The voice of Madam Speaker coming in, addressing the realities of experiences in South Africa. Just to extend that information, did you know that around 44% of women in sub-Saharan Africa have experienced some form of gender-based violence? And this in their lifetimes. And that figure rises to over 60% in Sierra Leone and nearly 57% in Uganda. Now, in the SADC region, 1 in 3 women will face violence in their lifetime. In Lesotho, it's 1 in 2 women. And in Botswana, it's over 62% that have endured partner-related physical or sexual abuse. Now, when victim blaming enters the picture, it deepens the trauma, shatters self-esteem, and often silences survivors altogether. Today we speak to a woman who navigated the treacherous cycle and emerged not just a survivor, but a liberator. Tune in to hear how she transformed her journey into a pathway of empowerment for others. Moreover, the question to you this evening: what's one empowering action or belief that helps break the cycle of victimhood and help you move forward when it comes to your own personal experiences? Again, that question: what's one empowering action or belief that helps break the cycle of victimhood and helps you move forward in your own personal capacity? We'd love to hear from you. Find us on WhatsApp +2763 406 9126.
African Diaries, weekdays, 10 till midnight. Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC.
Disang tarama manangale songe zeta dendang tarama kaya kate songe zeta mi moga mi jona va kang kang vana songe zeta baby sado eva vyat vyat vana songe zeta gambo ganga karge botna re jang mayebu duma kawo banyangan kula bakurma muwa yeba yala babana ye bonda bom gamba yebi kobi pinga ye majang bom gamba kurgan ya wuwa gambo ga wuwa jamgan le boga jamgani sani yege 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 disang tarama manangale songe seto dendang tarama kaya kate songe seto mi moga mi jona bo kang kang tene songe seto baby sado eva vyat vyat tene songe seto gambo ganga bakarde botna ni jang mayebu gama kawo banyanga kula bakurma muwa yeba yala babana ye bonda bom gamba yebi kobi pinga ye majanga bom gamba kurgan ya wuwa gambo ga wuwa jamgani sani jamgan le boga mi var mi jona kurgan ya wuwa gambo ga wuwa jamgani sani yege 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 kurgan ya wuwa gambo ga wuwa jamgan le boga mi var mi jona yege 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 disang tarama manangane songe seto Dendang dara makaya karte songe seta. Mi moga mi jona ba kang kang bana songe seta. Baby sa do e ba fiat fiat bana songe seta. Ngambo ngaba karte bona e jang mayu. Ngama kawu ba nyanga kula ba kurma muwa. Ye ba yala ba bana ye banda ba bom gamba. Ye bi ko bi binga ye ma janga ba bom gamba ga. Kurgan ya wuwa. Ngambo ga wuwa. Jamgan le boga. Mi var mi jona. Kurgan ya wuwa. Ngambo ga wuwa. Jamgan le boga. Jamgan isani. Yeke yeke mama ke junta mama. Yeke 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 yeke. Apuru isani sita mama ke junta na kwa. Yeke 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 yeke. Man makela juna ndumi ya matanga ngali kama jongi. Apuru isani sita mama ke junta na kwa. Man makela juna ndumi ya matanga ngali kama jongi.
Africa's very own think tank. This is Channel Africa Online. www.channelafrica.co.za.
Another banger. Girl, in your love with the ginger me, you dey give me the love and the energy. Only you where they hide me like Hennessy, baby, Girl, in your love with the ginger me, you dey give me the love and the energy. Only you where they giving me melody, yeah. This love me I never see before, baby, This love me I never feel before. Baby, this kind girl way I never see before. I go America, go London, me I never see before. Baby, sweeter than Fanta, Coca-Cola, oh yeah, sweet in my belly, oh. I'ma get no go give me jetty jetty, oh. Come blessy baby, baby, oh. I no go do you Johnny, Johnny, oh, baby, oh. Now you, where they make me they do, yeah. Now you, where they make me they do. Now you where I choose, you they make me they do. I they do la mumu, I they do la mumu, I they do la mumu, yeah, mugbo. Girl, in your love where they ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they hide me like Hennessy, baby, Girl, in your love where they ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they giving me melody, I'ma get na you I go fight for. I'ma get na you, say na you I go die for. I don't get motor, but na you I go ride for. When I dey sing, say na you I dey sing for. Wine baby dance, make you move for the dance floor. I'ma get she no be me, you dey fall for. Wine slow, boogie down low. Now the first time where I dey in love, oh. It be like drug where they make me slow. Anywhere you go, I go follow you go. Mogbe oh, Monica, Monica, hey Monica, Monica, hello Monica, come my way, never let go. She say oh before like that, me I no know, me I no be do you any money more. Yeah, even if I be bad commando. Girl, in your love with the ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they hide me like Hennessy, baby, Girl, in your love with the ginger me, you they give me the love and the energy. Only you where they giving me melody,
This is Rema, and this one is titled Ginger Me. Listen, I was listening to the lyrical content of the song, okay? He is supposing, allegedly, that the said lady who's being pursued is sweeter than a particular brand of soft drink. How, Rema, is my question. How? How did you get there? Nevertheless, before that, Sally Nyolo came in with that one titled Songeng Situ, and that brings us to 36 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African Time. If you have just joined us, welcome to it. This is African Diaries. Shayla Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm with you all the way through to midnight in Central African Time. It's time for us to get into our conversation, and this is one that I'd like to give you a few stats on. If you have just joined us and you weren't able to catch some of the stats shared, firstly with Madam Speaker, and that I believe extracted from a social media platform. But I want to give you more intel, more detail. Now, concerning GBV, did you know around 44% of women in sub-Saharan Africa have experienced some form of gender-based violence in their lifetimes, and that this figure rises to over 60% in Sierra Leone and 57% in Uganda. Now, particular to the SADC region, 1 in 3 women will face violence in their lifetime, and in Lesotho, it's 1 in 2. And in Botswana, over 62% have endured partner-related physical or sexual abuse. When victims and this is a thought I want you to keep in mind as we delve into the conversation at hand. When victim blaming enters the picture, it deepens the trauma, it shatters your self-esteem, and often silences survivors altogether. It's one thing to step out of the abuse. It's another to be caged in your own form of shackles mentally because of the abuse. And so today we have an opportunity to break that. We have an opportunity to break those steel bars in your mind that tell you it will not get better, that tell you that you did deserve what happened to you, that tell you that what happened to you in actual fact is a consequence of not just you, but perhaps even your parents and their parents. We have all kinds of reasoning that we afford ourselves because the mind is designed and fashioned to think that way. We are designed to somewhat get to an understanding of what it is that happened to us and why it happened to us. And this then begins to form victim mentality. It's a silent weight that follows many survivors of gender-based violence, and even those raised in homes scared and scarred rather by domestic abuse. The shame, the helplessness, the confusion, those creep in and shape how you see yourself long after the bruises fade. But here's the truth. What happens to you doesn't define you, right? Point number 1. Point number 2. If you have allowed your circumstance to define you, then there's an opportunity for hope. And so tonight we are joined by Lindiwe Kunene, who is an author, a life coach, a speaker, and survivor who has walked that road herself and now dedicates her life to showing others the tools, the mindset, and the courage to do the same. So if you want those steps, and listen, I'm going to extend it to beyond gender-based violence because this is an issue of trauma. Of course, GBV centering itself as our focal point. Take some of the hints if you find yourself struggling with a trauma of kinds. Moreover, send through your questions if you have any. Find us on WhatsApp +27 63406 9126. We welcome to the Fort Lindiwe Kunene. Good evening to you, Lindiwe. Welcome to African Diaries. And as we try and get a hold of Lindiwe there, just a few moments, I'd love to extend this conversation to you. I did ask you a question saying, what's that one empowering action or belief that helps you break the cycle of victimhood and helps you move forward when it comes to your own personal experiences? What is that one thing that you applied? For some, it might be the gym. For others, it might be, Shayla, I had a great support system, a great structure. For others, it could be that, listen, I found myself in my faith. I participated in fellowship. I dug deep into our books of faith. And so this is how I found healing and I restored myself. I'd love to hear your story. It need not be about gender-based violence. I want us to be encouraged by tonight's story. And I want you to look at past experiences that might have shattered you and how you overcame them. And tell us, how did you overcome? +27 6340 69126. For now, we get some music.
Africa's voices, Africa's journeys. They're all on African Diaries. Africa's voices, Africa's journeys. They're all on African Diaries.
It's Chris with the drama boy.
Kutoka Manzabe, picha twazi twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, baada ya chani kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. Kutoka Mazabe, picha twaze twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, bataja vikemoko. Cause I just wanna let you know African beauty. African beauty. You're my African beauty. You're my African beauty. African beauty. Oh, love is what I see when I look into your eyes. Tiny cute go waga navona. And you know it is up to be the one that takes you high. Timwili chumali kila kona. Benzi tali pamba ngojera. Uba kama tanga sekera. Kwa vino vya paikoko. Kutoka Manzabe, picha twazi twanga kisera, posti insta wanga kwa kera, baada ya chali kimoko. Cause I just wanna let them know I'm African beauty. Oh, you're mine, it's your mind, African beauty.
Love music, love culture, love life. Because you on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Speaks on African Diaries with Shayla Ndikumana.
Now I'm a hope I'm at you, baby. I never seen another you, baby. I got my eyes on you, yeah. I pull up on you, yeah. I feel like I know you. Champagne wanna pour for you. When you move on, eyes on. So let me put my hands on your waist, girl. I love how you shake it, more than diamonds. You kill 'em with a different style. Every time you bust a wine so fine, you already know. Baby, so when you're Natasha, when you're Bukula, I'm a best I can't do like you. Wanna watching guy in you, man. She go she lulupa. In a sauce, in a sauce, in a sauce, in a left. Wahala, 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 fire, papa. Wahala for the thing you find a papa. Somebody stop that. Find mommy, want that. Too bad, but you get wahala. You just they make me kolo. Ibadi ni joa, to bati ready, baby me bere kojo. Ekolopa ekwe soldier, it's an emergency. They say troublemaker. Say she come for the party, almost sexy, looking for money maker. I should lock you down tonight, cause you carry contraband. You take for some kind of wine. We are no fee understand. Bushin gong gong, come on, baby, lori gong gong. I'm gonna take you home tonight. Unnecessary, oh di don don. Wahala, wahala, wahala for your papa. Wahala for the thing you wind up proper. Somebody stop that. Find mommy want that.
.48 minutes after 10 p.m. Central African Time. Bien coming in with Adekunle Gold alongside Shine TTW. This one titled Wahala, Problems. Wahala for your papa, because you are that gorgeous. Before that, Diamond Platinum's coming in with African Beauty, and this alongside American superstar Omarion. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. This is African Diaries. Shayla Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm with you all the way through to the top of your Wednesday morning in Central African Time. Today we are looking at GBV, and we are looking at the realities of trauma that is induced from the experience. And so we are shifting the narrative in actual fact, right? From why me to what now? From victimhood to thriving. And joining us is Mamlindiwe Kunene, who is an author, a life coach, a speaker, and a survivor. And she's going to be telling us how she walked that road herself and now dedicates her life to showing others the tools, the mindset, the courage to do the same. Mamlindiwe, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
Let's kickstart off with something you often say. You say that your story isn't your prison. For somebody who is listening to this conversation, who feels stuck, who feels like, but that's something that's easily said than done. I can't see a way out. What would you say to them?
Yes. Like, you cannot be defined by your past, or even if it's your present, because there is a great power within us that is always pushing us to go forward. So in that situation that you are in, you must know that there's more to your life. Maybe what you are going through is just a stepping stone, or it's time to realize your power, because now you must think, what can you do? you must remember who you are and who you are supposed to be and where you are supposed to go as a person. So that situation is not the end of your life. So that's what I believe in. Whatever that you're going through now, it's like you are in transit. You are going to still travel to your destination.
Mam Lindiwe, I want to look at the first step to stepping out of that victim mentality. And I did say to folk that though GBV is the focal point for tonight's conversation, I want us to use these wise words of counsel in any sphere where we find ourselves traumatized to the extent that we feel we can't move forward. So what is step one from moving out of that victim mentality state?
As you are speaking, I'm thinking, let's say you are trapped in a house and you don't know how to open the door or the window for yourself, but you know you must get out of that house. Maybe it's leaking, maybe it's burning. So you must look at the possibilities that are there at that time, whether you must break the window, whether you must break the door. So you have that moment of sitting and thinking, because you sometimes you won't have time to think, but you must still take an action of getting out of that situation. So I would say the first step, you must have gone through pain, suffering, and you must have gone through regret and all those emotions. But now you must now gather yourself and think, what must I do? You must think, where can I get help? Who's going to help me? Because you want to get out of that situation. So you must have that moment of thinking.
Mam Lindiwe, I'm going to make this a bit more difficult for you. And I'm saying this because I do think that we find ourselves sometimes in contexts where even thinking is difficult, right? Even trying to piece together a way out. You said that one ought to break a door, break a window, break something, free yourself. If this person feels like the steel cage that they're trapped in is so big, that the bars are so large and so thick, and all I have are my fingers, I can't get out.
Yes.
And so what's that little silver lining that we can turn to? You know, how can we begin to process the reality of introducing help into our space?
Okay, I'm going to make an example of my situation. It was towards the end of the journey I was in, because where I was working for South African Airways, and they had a well-being department, and then they referred me to POWER. And I contacted them and I had an appointment with them. And after the appointment, they told me, okay, we'll contact you in 3 days. So after my appointment with them, coming back to the office, because that day I went to POWER without telling my partner that I want to go straight to work, because I knew he would not allow me. So while I was still on my way back, my friend in the office calls me and say, hey, Wena, your husband is calling, he's busy harassing us, please call him. And then I call him. I even forgot that I'm on the road. He would hear that I'm not in the office. I call him. Exactly the same thing happened. So after that, the way he responded, I knew that I'm in big trouble. As I was thinking now, okay, I made a big mistake. I called while I'm on the road. So I felt there and there, because now I have spoken to POWER and I've been trying to get a way out. And now POWER will be my passport for me to go out. And then I remember I had to think, what now? What now? Now, because if I leave, I must get my children and they're in school. If I leave, I must go back to power. So the way I was at that time, I could not even think properly. It's like my brain was not working, but I had to use my brain so that what I needed to do within an hour that time happens. The only thing I could do was I called my sister. I said, please come. And I told her where I was. Please come. Because they knew my situation, she came. I think within 20 minutes she was there. And then when she came, I told her, please, in 1 hour, let's make sure we go and fetch the children from schools, because I know if we delay, we might not be able to get the children. So that's what I mean, that sometimes you are in that situation and you have to think. So at that time, I had to think that I need my sister to come. And then I remember telling her, I can't think properly how you're going to do it, but please do this for me now, because I could feel that I'm losing even my thinking ability. So yes, it happens, but still you must still push until you do something for yourself.
Absolutely, Mam Lindiwe. Let's look at your book, Alive by Grace. You talk about survival and strength. What are some of those daily habits and practices that kept you from sinking deeper into despair?
Okay, I remember very well that when I was at work, I would try and forget about what is happening at home. I would try and be myself and make sure I enjoy the moment where I was. And I used to share with people what I'm going through. Everyone who was close to me knew what I was going through, so I didn't hide. Another thing I use, I used to pray a lot. I used to attend women gatherings where I would get support from other older women. So those things kept me alive, and they kept me stronger. Also, I used to love, even now, I still love worship. I would keep keep going when I was listening to my worship songs.
Mum Lindiwe, pardon me, I want to talk about the prospects of healing as and found in gratitude. I think that for me was quite a beautiful lesson, to find healing in gratitude. So whilst you ponder on that, and I know that you address it in some of your books, we're going to take a quick breather. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. That is the voice of Mam Lindiwe Kunene, who is an author, a life coach, a speaker, and a survivor. And today we are looking at how we can defeat victim mentality. Of course, GBV takes the center stage for this conversation, but I want you to pick tools on how you can overcome your own victim mentality if you do find yourself in that space. Let's take a quick breather.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Turn the page. It's African Diaries on Channel Africa.
Top of the hour, 11 p.m. Central African time. Joining us on the line is author, life coach, speaker, and survivor, Umam Lindiwe Kunene. And we're looking at how we can overcome defeat, if you will, victim mentality. And we sort of have GBV as a center stage. And we have this because Mum Lindiwe's story is around that, being able to not only survive GBV, but to now thrive to the extent of helping others, extending herself towards other people. Mam Lindiwe, we talked about healing and how this can be found in gratitude. Now, here's the concept of gratitude, Mam Lindiwe. We like applying gratitude when we are happy, right? It's because I have, I'm grateful. How do you begin to apply that when your world feels shattered?
For me, I try and find positives even in bad situations. Like in my case, I remember that because I'm a believer, I knew that God loves me. Because I'm a believer, I knew that one day I will come out of this situation. Even before that, I used to believe that God will help and we will have a better marriage. And then I used to believe that whatever is happening now will end. So it's like I thanked God so much that I'm still alive and I can do better. That's what I was striving to do better in my marriage, even though it was not helping anymore. But I thank God for life. I thank God for everything that I had. I thank God for my children, knowing that I still had a lot to do in life. I always believed that God will help me to be out of that situation. So yeah, I know it's difficult, and I meet other women who are struggling, and I make sure they see the bigger picture and they see the good even in the bad, because you must find that power that is in you. Otherwise, you are lost. Otherwise, you lose. Otherwise, you lose hope. Otherwise, there's no going forward.
Mam Lindiwe, that is so powerful. And this sort of then brings me to a gauge, or rather the desire to gauge if you ever blamed yourself for what had happened. You know, I can only imagine that it must have been traumatic to go through your set of experiences. But did you ever at some point feel like it's my fault that he's treating me this way, that he's saying these things, that he's doing these things?
Yes, I would say yes, because there was a time I was trying by all means to please him, to make sure I'm on the right so that he's happy. And then I know when he's happy, we won't fight. But like I say, it was no longer helping. Whether I do right or wrong, if he wanted to fight, he would do that. So I did at some stage, but I had a background of knowing that his upbringing was not so good. He was dealing with his childhood traumas, because he would have episodes where he remembers and he shares and he would cry. And at that time, I didn't know that he was on drugs. So that means when he was high, then he would go back to his past and he would be crying and doing all those things. So yeah, it happened to me. But with time, I saw that this is not my fault. And then I saw that there's something wrong here. Even though couples have differences, I could see that there is something wrong here, but I didn't know what it was.
Mom Lindiwe, I want to speak about the importance of faith. I know that you urge women in one of your books to turn to a deity, and you specifically speak about the deity in Christianity, which is God and Jesus Christ. So this is in the book In Becoming. You encourage women to step into a life that is God-led and God-intended. Talk to me about the power of belief systems and how these help you overcome trauma.
Okay, yes. To have something that you believe in, number one, what you believe in must be bigger than you, so that you know that when you are in trouble, whatever you believe in can help you, can give you hope, can protect, can open doors, can do anything that you can do for yourself. So yes, in that book, Becoming a Godly Woman, I encourage women that God is everything to us, and God created us for a purpose, and we must live that purpose, because the purpose makes us to be safe. Then it's like you are living in it, like let's say a bird living in a nest. So if we live where God wants us to be, we are like in our nest and we are safe there. No matter what can try and come and trouble you, the ultimate is God. It's not what is troubling you. So that's what happened to me.
And lastly, in the book that's titled 7 Ways to Enjoy Parenting, you highlight the importance of raising children in healthy environments. You sort of gave us an understanding of what the tail endings of your experiences were, where you had to involve your family member to go get the kids to ensure that the kids are safe as well. What would you say to a parent who finds themselves in a predicament where they have an abusive partner and their children involved?
In that case, we must involve our families, because you won't walk that road alone. Like in my case, I had the support of my family. From his side, I think they didn't know how to support him many times. So it was like one side, the help was one-sided for me. And like I explained, when I was in trouble, when I was in a brink of breaking up, there was somebody who came and helped me. So if our children also don't get that support from us as parents, then they will not grow up as strong as they supposed to be. And children must grow up in healthy environments, because now we are building a character, we are building a person tomorrow that must live a life. And if they took, remember, when we are parenting, we are also imparting, even when we are not saying anything, the children learn what they see. So whatever that they will see from you, they will practice at some stage. So it's important that we walk the walk that tomorrow, when your child walks like that, you are happy. But if I'm saying something but walking something else, you see that that is confusion for the child. So with my late partner, I know that it was not easy for him as a boy child in the community and also in the family. So that affected him a lot. He never knew his father. So he used to cry a lot for his identity, and no one was helping or supporting him in that manner. He would go outside the family and try and befriend or try and get a man to father him, because he didn't get that support of a father, in a way that he ended up hating my father, because my father was there for me and for us. So because he never got that father figure, he felt threatened by my father. So it's important for the children to experience love, support, care. Make sure you give your child all those attributes. A child must experience kindness, a child must experience peace, a child must experience discipline as well, because in my case, I saw that another part of him was that if somebody came and say, this is what we are doing and this is wrong, he would hate that person, because he never also got disciplined by a father figure. So you see, if let's say you deprive your children discipline, you are killing the child, because there will be times where he will need to be disciplined by other people, and he doesn't know what is discipline. All the child knows is yes, and sometimes we have that tendency of spoiling children too much and not telling them this is right, this is wrong. So in his case, that's what I saw. Even when let's say there were conflicts and they are trying to come in, they would never rebuke if it's time for rebuke. But it's easy to rebuke me as a wife, to say, no, you must do this because you are a wife, you must submit, even when things are not okay, even when it's not my part to do, it's his part. I remember there was a time they told me, he's still young. Now, I was younger than him, but now they say he's still young, meaning he was allowed to do anything. But as a wife, I was supposed to act a certain way. And that's what he used to do in our parenting as well, that he would want to give all these things to my children, if sometimes overfeed them, take them to places where small children are not supposed to be. So you see that there was no proper guidance. So it's very important as parents to know what is right, what is wrong, even if you choose what is right for you, but you know, okay, if I do this to a child, if I say this, if I teach these values, what are the results? Because at the end, the Bible says, train up a child in a way that when he or she is younger, his older will go back, meaning the training is the one that will determine what kind of an adult will that be. If the training was not proper, that adult will be lacking. If the training is proper, okay, I know as well, there's no perfect person, but at least you must have values of respect, values of love, values of peace, caring, all those. As Africans, we say Ubuntu. You must have those values. Then you know that that child at least is groomed in a way that when he or she is an adult, you know that they can stand for themselves. Because as parents, we will never be there all the time, and will never walk their walk. They must walk their walk themselves. But if we have not given them proper tools, those children will suffer.
So true, Mam Lindiwe. And if anything, what I can commend you is for the courage to firstly get out. Secondly, the ability to be able to see past the abuse. Not very many people get to that place. A lot of people get stuck at you hurt me, you're not a good
Yes.
human being. And so for you to have an opportunity to look at your former partner, to say, this is in actual fact what you were battling with, I think is very courageous, is very bold. And we thank you for sharing your story with us. We also thank you for the work that you're doing. You are extending yourself to very many people out there through your books and, of course, every single conversation that you host that sort of seeps and just oozes of wisdom. Mam Lindiwe, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on to African Diaries.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you to the listeners. Thank you.
The voice of author, life coach, speaker, and survivor of GBV. In actual fact, conqueror is the word I'm going to use, because she doesn't just survive her instance. She goes on to thrive and is now helping others do so through books such as Becoming, 7 Ways to Enjoy Parenting, and Alive by Grace. The voice and the times of Lindiwe Kunene joining us this evening.
Your passport to Africa's untold stories. Only on African Diaries. Weekdays, 10 till midnight.
17 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time. If you have just joined us, welcome to it. Indeed, African Diaries. The name is Shayla Ndikumana. I have fairly 43 minutes left with you before this show ends. And so we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to turn over to an individual who is a survivor, who is a conqueror, but also has had the privilege of delving into the psyche of human beings. She is a psychology graduate, and she will be sharing her story and helping us break down fundamentals, some of the most frequently asked questions that I've seen on social media. This in a bit.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for Hard Talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Asiqala ka-ake manje asambe kanje. Awuzweke. Engathi awangizwanga kahle. Lapho yenze kahle lapho. Yazona. Uyazenzela. Elomntana uyazenzela. Bathi uyazenzela. Bathi yena uyazenzela. Marichomi wantswaramo asimoteng, wantswaramo asimoteng, wantswaramo asimot, wantswaramo kimoteng. Marichomi kimoteng. Asambe, engithi mina wantswaramo asimoteng, wantswaramo asimoteng, wantswaramo asimot, wantswaramo kimoteng. 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 Asambe kanjena bathi Kimote, 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 asambe kajene bathi
Ay, 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 ay. Ay, boy. Ay, indaba isukicala mongibamba, ungithinta, ungispina pine emoyeni, cala motamba, uyigcina, uyijikisa le oneni mama. Kanti ubamba kanja, kanti kanti ubamba kanja, kanti wena ubamba kanja. Ay, indicala mongibamba, ungithinta, ungispina pine emoyeni, cala motamba, uyigcina, uyijikisa le oneni mama. Kanti ubamba kanja.
Ntho tseo di etsang ha ona tjhelete empa ntho tseo di etsang ke tsa batho ba nang le tjhelete ha ona tjhelete ha o kgole shapo mfanaka ha o kgole shapo na sinokonogo ha siyo mono mo sebetsang
Uncle Waffles on this one. This one is titled Zenzele alongside Royal Music, Uncool MC Cowboy, and X Duppy. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. 23 after 11 p.m. Central African Time. This is African Diaries. Shayla Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm not alone in studio. So we have been talking all things GBV. And today we had an opportunity to gauge tools, to gauge systems of belief, perhaps for some, to gauge the realities of habits that one can form and use in order to escape the chain and the shackles and the cage that you would find yourself mentally due to experiences of GBV. Joining me in studio is none other than Nolo Bebetsi, who is a psychology graduate. She's also a conqueror, I'd like to call you, of GBV. And she is here to share her story with us. I do have questions that sort of allude to what Umam Lindiwe said. Nolo, firstly, thank you so much. And I can't say welcome to African Diaries. That's just weird. Okay, thank you for coming on to...
I still like it.
Would you still like... Welcome to African Diaries.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So, Nolo, it was a very interesting conversation that we had with Umam Lindiwe Kunene, who said quite a few things that got me stirred up, right? I want to start off with the power that the offender or the perpetrator has on the victim. A lot of messages on social media will say, if you're being abused, why don't you get out?
Yeah.
If you saw the red flags, why did you stay? So I want to gauge you both on a professional level, of course, and on a personal capacity, right? I want to gauge your experiences, but also what you've learned in psychology. Why do we stay? Is it Stockholm Syndrome? What is it?
Ooh. There's so many reasons why we stay, you know. And everybody, I believe, has a different reason, you know. I've noticed that, well, I'm going to speak from a different generation. Let me start there because Mam Lindiwe and I are from different generations. Our struggles may be the same, but we react differently, right? Maybe in her generation, to leave was sort of a disgrace to the family members. Marriage was an honor, to both sides of the family. So you leaving means you ending the marriage. And so it's a disgrace, it's an embarrassment. And I guess in my generation, I'd say the few reasons, if I can name those few, is, the financial instability. Your lifestyle definitely changes. As much as they say, oh no, can take the individual to court, there will be child maintenance, spousal maintenance that wasn't available back in the day, by the way. So, but that's a court process that takes time. In between that, your life is going to change drastically. Your life is going to be inconvenienced. Your children's lives are going to be inconvenienced. They're going to be destabilized. Maybe your children are used to living a specific life, going to specific schools, living in a specific neighborhood. And now, once the two parents part ways, things are definitely going to be different. So you feel like you'd be selfish by leaving. And you're not thinking about the consequences or the impact on the children. Another main reason for leaving is, the so-called syndrome, like what we call, what will people say syndrome. You're afraid of what people will say, what your peers will say. Oh, she failed at marriage again, and you're afraid of... in my case, as a public figure, I was afraid of, oh my goodness, what are they going to say? I'm leaving a marriage only after 9 months. So you try to stick it through.
Yeah.
And make it work.
Interestingly enough, Don Castro says here that Batho ba tlo reng syndrome is something that we see our society face. Nolo, I want to get deeper into your conversation, into your story, if you'll allow me to.
Yeah.
You spoke of 9 months. You spoke of being a public figure, right? And the individual that you married to was also in the public eye, but behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Right? To an extent, all of that guilt sort of draws from what will people say. This person is also in the public eye, so if they say something about me, they might tarnish and ruin my name. The kids are no longer safe. I'm not protecting the kids by making the selfish decision.
Yeah.
That entraps you into some kind of victim mentality.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Where was your headspace? How trapped were you?
So I was a victim that was suffering in silence, right? However, I did try to reach out to family.
Yeah.
It's just that, family, as usual, they'll try to mediate. They will try to bring some sort of understanding. They'll try to bring peace, right? But then in terms of the public knowing what I'm going through, yes, I was certainly trapped under a victim mentality. No doubt about that. However, I would say my victim mentality was somewhat self-inflicted. I placed myself in that situation. I just did not want the world to know how I'm suffering. Yeah. And I had some sort of guilt because this was not the first time I was within an abusive relationship. So the question I kept on asking myself under that victim mentality was, one, you grew up in an abusive household. How do you end up here? Twice even, Are you somewhat attracting abusive men? Are you an abusive man magnet? Well, why do you keep ending up here, Nolo? So I was beating myself up quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to take that stance for a moment, and let's just say Shayla was the one who found herself in that state, right? I'm the one who has been married twice, found myself in an abusive relationship, and the like. Would you have that same kind of blame game on me? Would you pin me down to, Shayla, why are you doing this? Why do you keep on going back?
If I knew your history?
Yes. If you knew, your story becomes Shayla's story.
Okay, so I'm an outside.
And you're
an
a friend.
Outsider. Oh, a friend.
Yes. Would you have the same level of and I want to say lack of grace, but I don't want to trigger certain things. I want you to come out of the shell for yourself. Would you speak to me the way you speak to yourself?
Yes.
You would. You'd say, why do I attract?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is because that's exactly how I had placed myself in that self-victim mentality and beating myself up, because in my mind, that's what people would think if I told them my challenges. Because for a while, nobody knew.
Yeah.
I hid it quite well. You know, if there was a bruise, as usual, you put makeup on it. It's just that I don't know if I should say fortunately or unfortunately, but during that time of experiencing the constant abuse, I was pregnant, so I hardly left the house. If I did, it was in the middle of the night, running away to go sleep at a neighbor's or at a family friend's house.
Yeah.
So, well, I wouldn't say family friend, I would actually say family, because I deliberately avoided reaching out to friends because I was afraid of exactly that kind of questioning. Like, how do you always end up here?
I'm just curious on whether you'd be that friend who asks those questions.
No.
And the reason why I'm asking this is because we often are so difficult on ourselves.
Absolutely.
We pin ourselves to walls that are unnecessary, right? And the reality here is that victim mentality comes from that pinning.
Yes.
It comes from that sword onto the jugular.
Yeah.
And I want us to strip away from that for a second. So with that being said, if you're saying that you wouldn't be that friend to yourself, in hindsight, in retrospect, you are Nolo now. You have conquered this space. You have gone through the emotions. You've gone through the pain, the bitterness, the sorrow. Looking back at Nolo, what would you say to her?
Ooh, I'm so glad that you're asking me that question, because I've just recently, after I received therapy, I learned that I should speak to myself like I would speak to a best friend.
Yeah.
Hence why when you asked me if you were the friend, would you say that? And no, I wouldn't. Because I've got a feeling if I understand your past, like you mentioned, I should award a little bit of grace, right? But if I were to speak to myself then, and I was the friend, Nolo's friend back then, I guess I'd say, whatever you need me, however you need me to help you, I'm here. Because sometimes you're afraid to ask for help because you don't even know if you'll receive the help, right?
Yeah.
And when we speak about help, we're not necessarily talking about financial help. Sometimes it could be just, dude, can I just come talk to you about this because I'm struggling, but I don't know who to speak to. It's a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know? Maybe it's that shoulder to cry on, or that vault where I can vent and then lock it and I'll come back, you know? I don't necessarily need advice from you on how to get out.
Yeah.
I just need that friend to say, how do you need me to help you? And I knew how I needed someone to help me, but I just didn't have that. I didn't have the shoulder to cry on. I didn't have the friend to reach out to and say, I feel like I'm failing at this marriage thing. I feel like I'm causing this abuse on myself, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nolo, do you think it's possible for you to be your own friend first? And then maybe you would value what friends bring to the picture.
In that situation?
Yes.
No.
Tell me more.
There's no way you can be your own friend first in that situation. You must remember, you're being hurt by somebody you love. Okay? You're not being hurt by a boyfriend, or you're not being hurt by a stranger you just met yesterday.
Yeah.
You're hurt by somebody you love. In my case, it's somebody whose child I was currently pregnant with at the time. And I had just married a few months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and he's just switched on me. Characters just switched. And it's so confusing. In the States, it's confusing because the first time it happens, there's that little bit of a shock. And you really need to ask yourself, did that really happen?
Yeah.
Did that really happen? And I think it only makes sense the third time it happens. And you're like, wait a minute, I'm actually going through this now, you know? So it's hard to even be your own friend. You're trying to understand this individual, what's happening to you for you to hit me, lay a hand on me, push me down the stairs. I'm carrying your baby on top of that, you know? So I don't even thinking of being your own friend and shoulder to cry on at that. No, there's no way. I spent a lot of nights in the shower crying so that nobody hears I'm crying. So I run the shower, and then when I'm done, I walk out, and life has to continue. I have to make this marriage work.
Sure. With that being said, where did the pressure come from to make the marriage work?
With me, it's a combination of many things. First of all, I never shy away from letting people know that I got married because I was pregnant. Okay? And it was more like the shame of having a second child out of wedlock. And this individual wants to marry you, the father of the coming child wants to marry you. So if you say no, okay, so is this your plan for life? Are you going to have children with different fathers and not get married?
Yeah.
And why are you even having children with men that you don't see a future with? You know what I mean? And by the way, these are the questions I'm asking myself. Nobody's asking me. Again, victim mentality. I'm victimizing myself.
Yeah.
You know, that's how deep this thing can go. And so I found myself just thinking, how am I going to make this work?
Yeah.
How am I going to find a way to make this work without society being people who see me as a public figure? Because again, the marriage was publicized, so they saw us in matching outfits. Rishapa step down the road, you know.
Yeah.
And a few weeks later, announcement of my pregnancy was out, you know. So now, okay, so she's done with the marriage already, and society has this notion, especially on female public figures, when you fail at the relationship, they blame you, the female. They hardly blame the guy. They hardly do. The question is, why does she keep failing at relationship? What is wrong with her? May I remind you again of the saga we had with the podcaster on Podcast and Chill, and how he spoke about Mini Dlamini. They never really target the man. They target the female. Why do you keep failing? Kanti, what's wrong with you? And maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe I do have daddy issues, and that's why my relation to men is so, warped. You know, it's nothing familiar to you. You know, I relate to men differently. Maybe it's because of how I was raised by an abuser. So yes, maybe there is something wrong with me, but have you ever thought that there's also something wrong with the guy?
Yeah.
You know, so I had a whole lot of things that affected me victimizing myself. It's the public, it's the family expectations. Oh no, don't let me get started on the children. The children, okay, the first one. What am I teaching her? You know, she's much older. She's watching all of this. This is the first time she's seeing her mother with a man in the same household. You know, and she's expecting a younger sibling coming, and there was just so many aspects. Also, another huge aspect is the fact that in the industry that I was working in at the time, which is the acting industry, when you're pregnant, you don't have a job. Okay, so if I end this marriage, where is my bread going to be buttered? Who's buttering my bread? How am I? It goes back to what I was telling you, the lifestyle change. It's going to change. Was I ready for that at the time? I don't know. I wasn't.
The voice of Nolo Pebetsi, who is firstly family of Channel Africa. Secondly, she's a psychology graduate, and more than anything else, she's proving that she's a conqueror of GBV. We are discussing the realities of victim mentality that can rise from the experiences of GBV. Nolo, I want to turn to reclaiming your power. Right? You spoke of instances where you were physically assaulted. Right? This is in your homestead. You spoke of an instance where you pushed down the stairs while pregnant, right? There is something that allows you to stay in that context, that affords the next person that power. How did you reclaim it back?
I looked at my oldest daughter. Sure. On the last straw on a camel's back, the abuser had broken down the bedroom door we had locked ourselves in with his bare hands. And, you know, my daughter was sleeping on the bed. And obviously, when the door broke, she woke up. She's scared what's happening.
Yeah.
And when I turned, after, you know, quarreling with him and everything, and I turned around, I found her shivering and she's scared. Although she said, "Mom, I'm not scared." For me, that switched something in my head, and I'll tell you what switched. What switched was, oh my goodness, Nolo, this is how you grew up. And this is why it's a norm to you. This is a normal household lifestyle to you. This 8-year-old is watching this every day, every weekend. It's going to be a norm in her lifestyle as well. And it shall continue into the next generation and the next generation. If you don't allow it to stop with you, she's going to see this as a norm. It's normal. Every household has abusive episodes. And that's when I took a stand and I said, it has to stop. That's how I reclaimed my power. I didn't even waste time. The very next day, I went to the police station and I went and did a restraining order and a protection order. And I came back with police and I told them to remove him from the house. And that was the last time I saw him.
Was there any part of you that wanted to save him from himself?
Oh, I did. A couple. Oh no, that's when we rewind to 3-4 months before.
Yeah,
I cut the cord. When I was in that victim mentality, when I was under the fear of what will people say, what will the public say about me, I did try to save him. I organized therapy for him because I figured he's got anger issues. We organized rehabilitation for him.
Yeah.
We even did couples counseling together. Those were my efforts of trying to fix this relationship. But there was a day when I realized I can't fix this man because while fixing him, it's at the expense of losing myself.
Sure. Lastly, Nolo, I want to talk about healing. Right? So we all talk healing. Hey, heal yourself. Oh, herbs. Oh, this, oh, that. And the reason why I'm being a bit preposterous with it is because I wonder what healing looks like when that was a part of your cycle. Do you find yourself in a kumbaya state where everything is happy-go-lucky? Where you are receiving and receptive to everything? You know? What is healing after GBV, for you at least?
The first thing you must really acknowledge and tell yourself is that it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Sure.
Okay? It's going to get worse before it gets better because once you cut that cord, your life is going to be inconvenienced in more ways than one. You're going to be stigmatized. You're going to fall in the statistics. You're going to overcompensate towards your children and your parenting because you feel guilty that you cut the other parent out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work twice as hard to maintain the lifestyle you guys used to have. You know, so it's gonna get hard before it gets better. You know, and in my case, it got so hard to a point where I didn't have a home for my kids and I for a while. I did not have a home. And this is not something that happened in a space of 3 months. No, it's a gradual decline. You know, however, the first thing I did for myself personally was the first step of healing that I took was mental health. That's the first place I went because I remember how I was so depressed. During the day, I could not smile, and I'm raising an infant on my own. This child can feel my sadness and my depression. I couldn't even breastfeed because I did not have any milk coming out of my breast, you know? So, and then I could not sleep at night because I thought I wouldn't wake up. I was afraid of sleeping. I thought I would die in my sleep and not come back. So I had insane anxiety. So this is me at the time. I'm taking medication to heal the C-section, right? I'm taking antidepressants during the day. I'm taking anxiety meds at night to calm down. And I'm taking sleeping meds to still put me to bed. Because if I don't sleep, I won't be able to take care of the child. The child wakes up at various times. I'm taking a cocktail of about 10 pills a day at this point. That is obviously not healthy. And this is in the first 2 months of the child being born. Remember, the dad left way before the child was born, right? And so I remember saying, no, how are you going to keep going? So you're going to need a pill to smile with your kids. You're going to need a pill to be relaxed. You're going to need a pill to take away any pain. That's going to be your life. I can't be raising kids that way, you know? And I remember I said, I'm going to drop it all and I'm just going to seek psychological help because there's obviously something wrong with me. I don't even need somebody to tell me. you know, anxiety attacks, sleepless nights, you name it. And so that's the first thing. You have to seek the healing. Don't allow people to say to you, oh, you're not the first woman to go through this. You'll get over it. No. If you don't find the necessary healing, you will develop anger issues as well towards men. And guess what that anger issue does? It also trickles down to the girls or the children you're raising. Now, they're going to look at men different. I had to make sure that my perspective towards men is not dented by what my experiences with men has been, so that my kids can have a different perspective as well. So I needed to deal with anger. I needed to deal with self-doubt, self-hate. I needed to forgive myself. I needed to deal with the shame and the guilt. I needed to find my confidence again. When I walk in public, walk with my head held up high and know that, you know what, I'm not, what happened to me is not really part of my identity. It's okay. I can move past that. I can find a way to develop myself to a point where that will just be an aspect of my past and not necessarily part of my identity. But I think the most important place to start is your mind, and then go to your heart. And for me, my heart was, you know, I found solace and refuge in my spirituality, my walk with Christ. And that's where I healed my heart. And when I healed my mind, I really did some extensive therapy.
Yeah. And Nolo, just a follow-up, we spoke quite a great deal on the public and what they would think. What was your family saying?
Sheila.
Yeah.
I can't say much about them.
That is fair.
I don't want to paint them in a weird light, but
that's fair.
Like I said, I could not really. I did reach out to them, but they always tried to mediate. I think if you can piece together the things I've said, is that it was a norm in my childhood, so they expected me to also handle it, and I couldn't. And so for the longest of time, I didn't have the family support when starting all over again, because we told you to stay. Look at how your life is turning out now, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to find my way. And to be honest, my kids are my fuel now. I look at them, I'm like, I gotta make it. I have to make it for them, you know. So so that they know that they can also let it go and start again if you have to. It's not nice to start all over. But you must remember your why. Your why is very important, and your why can't be shallow.
Sure. Nolo, the purpose of this conversation is to draw people to the realities that you can overcome a victim mentality. You know, it's not a badge of honor. In actual fact, it's something that we need to part ways with, right?
Yeah.
And so with that being said, as your parting shot to somebody who feels like the world has done me wrong, I did not deserve it.
Yeah.
I was walking home and he grabbed me and misused my body. He caged me. He imprisoned me, not just physically, but mentally. What would you say to that person?
So simple, but so powerful. The first step to taking your power back and removing the victim mentality is to own your story, babe. Own your story, tell your story. Don't tell it with expectations of any help. Don't tell it with any expectations of sympathy or empathy. Tell it to own it. The ownership of your story gives you some sort of power that I can't explain, you know? Because if somebody comes to you and say, oh, I heard this and this about you. Yes, that's true. That's my life. Yeah, I lived it. But I'm here now to tell the story. So own it.
Yeah.
Own it. We've got social media nowadays. Own it in the best way that you can.
Sure. Listen, 49 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African time, the voice of my superstar producer. She is
to get back to work.
Who's a member of Channel Africa, of course. Her name is Nolo Bebedzi. She is an actress. She is a psychology graduate. She is quite the guru in the media space, but she's also a conqueror of GBV. And she has shared her story with us in bits and pieces with the understanding that you can overcome the idea, the extremity, the experience of victim mentality. For now, let's take a quick breather. When we get back, we touch base with Morris.
From Cape to Cairo, every beat tells a story. It's African Diaries on Channel Africa.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800-428-428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
is 6 minutes before the show comes to an end. If you have just joined us, welcome to it. African Diaries, of course, signing out and making way for Morris Touch of the Afro Republic. I just want to say a special thank you to these two amazing women who joined us this evening. Of course, we're looking at the life and times of Mam Lindiwe Kunene, who is an author. She is a speaker, and she came onto our platform to share with us how we can escape victim mentality. GBV was the central focus for both women. And Umam Lindiwe, who is the author of Becoming, 7 Ways to Enjoy Parenting, and Alive by Grace. Those 3 books detailing out tools, tricks, if you will, habits that one can practice in order to overcome being a slave to your experiences. And then we were joined by Nolo Bebetsi in studio. Nolo Bebetsi Matlaila, who is a creative at heart. She is a media mogul, among many things. And she's also the producer of this show. And she shared with us her heartfelt story. I think her ending shot, the parting shot that she shared with us was own your story. In order to drop the victim mentality, begin to own your experience, because it doesn't define you. It's simply a path that sharpened you. It made you better. It made you stronger. Listen, speaking about strong, we're finishing strong, and we're going to allow Morris Touch to take over of the Afro Republic. Morris, good evening.
Good evening. Speaking to phenomenal women, I must say, their stories are amazing.
Absolutely, Morris. Listen, I was, teary-eyed through both conversations, because these women prove that resilience during difficult times is possible. You know, the idea that women are not strong, they're soft, you know, they can't overcome, they're always complaining. These women completely trampled on any of those biases and showed us the power that women possess. Anyway, speaking about power, Morris, it is Women's Month. I know that you've got, what is it called? What is it called?
Pink Records.
Pink Records. Are we having that today?
Yes, we're still in that mode. We are going live today. It's a Wednesday. It is Tuesday. It is, and we're getting into Wednesday. Yeah. So what happens on Wednesday? We go live, and like we always do, we've got we're featuring 2 live concerts featuring 2 amazing live women from the continent of Africa. So yeah, that's something to look forward to, and we journey through the beautiful continent of Africa. Music is all that we know, and we do that with so much pride, dedication, and a whole lot of passion. You know how we do it. We've got the connection point coming through at 10 minutes before 3 o'clock. And I've had so many stories. I would love to hear your story, Shayla. You had three beautiful women, and you are the 4th one in the building. What's your story?
My story is that my time is up, Morris, okay? My time has come to an end. And with that being said, I'm going to let you take over the fort. It is 2 minutes before the show comes to an end. Morris spoke about music. The song that brought us to the tail end of this conversation was Halima Ba, and that one titled Chérien. And I must just thank the phenomenal women that steer this ship. Kathy Malika Chuchu on technical, and Nolo Bebetsi Matlaila on production. My name is Shayla Ndikumana, and until tomorrow, cheers.
From Cape to Cairo, every beat tells a story. It's African